Today's report comes from Saratoga Springs, New York, just outside the Racing Museum, the Horse Racing Hall of Fame. The next story is a story about the human spirit and one tough athlete from Brooklyn, New York, who was down more than once, but never gave up.
Another race, another victory for Richard Migliore. Richard Migliore across the line on top. Oh, Richard Migliore did everything right, and that made the difference. And that's Richard Migliore's 4,000th win.
Richard Migliore, known as the Mig, rode like no other jockey of his time. He competed with a burning desire, and by the end of his career, he rode over 30,000 races, tallying more than 4,500 wins. To say he mastered his craft would be an understatement. He competed and won against the top jockeys of his time, including Hall of Famers Lafitte Pincay and Angel Cordero. At only age 17, he won the 1981 Eclipse Award for leading apprentice jockey, winning 298 races that year alone.
Well, I think Richie was a complete jockey. He rode all kinds of different horses well. He was good on speed horses, come from behind horses. He rode the turf really well. I think he's a very cerebral rider. He puts a lot of thought into his game plan, into just the game in general. He's a student of the game.
I could see his ability from the beginning. He dominated his weight, he dominated his size, and got hurt and come back again. He was leading rider in Apple for so many times, and that's not easy to do. You could be leading rider in Jersey, you could be leading rider in Maryland. It doesn't matter. Here is the Big Apple, New York is the Big Apple. When you're leading rider in New York, that means you're leading rider on the top. And he did it for so many years.
Like so many athletes, the highs were incredibly high.
Bell's appeal and Richard Migliore, you better believe it, fighting back. It's going to be tight, you better believe it. Bell's appeal, it's a photo finish. Richard Migliore going for win number 3,000.
Winning the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, where he took Desert Cove from last place to first, passing the others like they were standing still.
Going now, here's Desert Cove. Desert Cove gonna get up, and Desert Cove got up to beat Diabolical.
And the Pacific Classic, where he took Student Council at 23-1 shot to the winner's circle.
A quarter of a mile to go. Student Council, a huge run on the outside. Top of the lane, Student Council looking for a massive upset. Student Council's holding him at bay. Student Council and Richard Migliore upset the Pacific Classic field.
Whether a favorite or a long shot, he strategically gave his horses every chance at victory.
Hidden Lake bounding clear into the backstretch. He's keyed up today. Richard Migliore trying to settle her down on the lead. Hidden Lake is not done yet. She comes roaring back. Hidden Lake, what a brave filly. She's coming back. Here's the wire. Hidden Lake. Oh, she would not be denied victory today. A fantastic run.
One of the great horses to ever run at Saratoga was named 4-Star Dave, who won 8 consecutive years and became a local legend. It was Mig who rode 4-Star Dave for his 8th and final win at the Spa.
Migliore makes his move with the old boy. The legend lives on. 4-Star Dave wins again at the Spa.
And the lows were devastatingly low. In May of '88, he broke his neck, but miraculously made a recovery and found his way back to riding.
Here comes Sir Bear. Sir Bear and a firm success. They're coming out to the line together. Here comes Sir Bear, who forges to win it.
But in '99, he broke his forearm, pelvis, and leg, and yet came back once again.
Angel Cordero always told me that's when you really find out, who the great jockeys are, the guys that can come back from serious injuries. And I think, Richie was able to overcome a really significant injury, and to come back and regain his form and become even a better jockey after that is a real tribute to his mental toughness.
He beat the odds on the side and on the weight and getting hurt and coming back. He was unique. He did something that is very hard to do. When you get hurt, it's hard to come back as good.
But in 2010, he broke his neck a second time, which would end his riding career for good.
My career as a jockey is over.
I mean, we saw him in pain. We saw him, hurting. But I do have to say, I mean, I think the biggest hurt and the biggest loss that we saw him feel was after he was healed. He realized he couldn't go back to riding. You know, the physical injury and that healing period wasn't, you know, the worst part for him.
You know, I'm always managing pain. I don't have a pain-free day. Some days are better or worse than others. And a lot of it, you know, comes from the spinal injuries that I incurred during my career. You know, how many people are you sitting there with that are still walking around could say they broke their neck twice? I have a lot of hardware. I don't think I would change a single thing, though. I loved what I did so much that any price that I paid or continue to pay is well worth it.
Mig's been around horses his whole life. His love of this animal goes much deeper than racing.
I love everything about horses. Look into a horse's eye and you'll see the window into your own soul. And the thing about a horse is they'll never hide their true character from you. A horse is what he is. He doesn't have an agenda. If he's a mean horse, he's a mean horse. You know it and you work with him accordingly. If he's a generous horse, he's generous. If he's lazy, he's lazy. They're not going to portray one thing and be another.
For the past several years, he's been one of the most prolific TV analysts in the sport.
I really like broadcasting. I like the idea that I'm educating, that maybe I'm opening somebody's mind or eyes to a different way of looking at something, a different perspective.
You had a lot of time in the room to think about this race. How difficult is it waiting to get the opportunity to ride?
He really enjoys it. I mean, I think for him, one, it's just still being able to be a part of this industry, because it's the industry that he loves as a whole. It's being around the horses and the people. But I think he's really fallen in love with teaching people things. You know, he always says that to me. If someone's watching and they learn one thing from me, then like that made my day.
I think without a doubt, you know, he has the credentials to be a Hall of Fame jockey.
I think Richard Migliore should be on the Hall of Fame. No doubt. I mean, I hope that he's there before I pass away, because I wanted to be there. I feel proud of.
What do you love about your dad?
Everything, but I think how much he cares about things, you know. He has such a passion for everything that he does. His family, his job, and everything he does it all the way.
Horse racing has given me everything good in my life. I met my wife through horse racing. I could never repay the debt that I owe horses and horse racing.
Richard Migliore, a jockey, teacher, horseman, and a great ambassador for the sport.